too tough. Can't pay, we just come together. Champagne, you do yes to your chi. Skin bay. Menegbe ubausu. Ubajo. Ubausu. Menegbe ubausu. Ubajo. Ubausu. Ubajo. 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 Yebesa. Ubajo. Yebesa. Ubajo.
Is your hotter than murder? Like it's a mango, like it's a bango. Why we don't talk, so my baba don't talk. Facebook mountain, Kilimanjaro. Black and comely Solomon. Unity be the key, oh go. But you, everything about you. Boss your step, if you think that you're bad, so. Trials come, c'est la vie, c'est la vie. C'est la vie, c'est la. On a rainy day, spiritual umbrella. Love your melanin, Nutella. C'est la vie, oh papa. And we continue, oh Jaja, so. And we continue, yet to fall in love, oh. Prophesy till we all go home. Love you never, so we gotta hold on. Let's say, so we gotta move on. Know the truth, so we preach God. Till then, everybody bow.
We know the thing too tough. Can't pay, we just come together. Champagne, you do yes to your chi. Skin bay. Menegbe ubausu. Ubajo. Ubausu. Menegbe ubausu. Ubajo. Ubausu. Ubajo. 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 Yebesa. Ubajo. Yebesa. Ubajo.
Gonna kill it, Baba me know what to. Goodbye, let me know. Bad man me know what to. So me watch my company. Say you watch your company. Go watch your that. Who next the wheel? Don't slip, don't let them get in. Don't let the enemy get close to you.
Early morning, got the order for the city, yeah, we stormy. I need all soldiers ready for war. Got 50 cities we need to tour. Oh yeah, finally, I'm in the green. I'm bold as a lion, got the heart of a king. We gon' blitz your cities, pastors one at a time. Robbing our people, taking offering and tithes. Don't pack your bags and try to run out of town, cause we gon' blitz your cities, pastors one at a time. Don't need no room, gon' turn and burn. I shine my boots, my purple earned. Off to the next city, who's all gonna roll with me? On gas, I got 50, I got my Bible with me. Finally, I'm in the green. I'm bold as a lion, got the heart of a king. We gon' blitz your cities, pastors one at a time. Robbing our people, taking offering and tithes. Don't pack your bags and try to run out of town, cause we gon' blitz your cities, pastors one at a time. We gon' blitz your cities, pastors one at a time. Robbing our people, taking offering and tithes. Don't pack your bags and try to run, cause we gon' blitz your cities, pastors one at a time.
Let's rise and face Jerusalem. Men of Israel, blow trumpets. Trumpets down.
The book of Psalms, chapter 51. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness. According unto the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgression, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in a hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from the blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offerings. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O God, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offerings and whole burnt offerings. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving us another Sabbath day, a day of rest. We give you all glory and praises for all the things that you do for this great nation that you have created. I beg of you that you forgive us of all of our iniquities, our sins that we have done against you, those that we have done ignorantly and willfully, that you forgive us and blot out our sins and make us new creatures in Christ. I praise you all day that you give us the blessing that we need. Give us vengeance, because our enemies, they hunt our steps. They watch everything that we do so they may destroy us. But we know and understand that vengeance is of your power and in your hand. Venge your nation and rise us up from the ashes, and forgive us for all that we do against you, and give us glory upon this earth, and give us a new name in your name, Lord Jesus. I pray that you forgive us and watch over us as we travel to do your bidding and spread your gospel throughout the four corners of the earth, to gather the 12 tribes of Israel. I pray that you remember us in your covenants and never forget the things that you have promised that you would give us in the latter days, and give us the kingdom that we may inherit it forever. Watch over us and protect us always. In your son Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Men of Israel, sons of God, patient saints, sons of God, hand salute.
Most High Christ bless.
Salute down. We don't have any sisters here, so shout out to the sisters. Most High Christ bless y'all. Y'all can go ahead and be seated. All right. Good morning. Most High in Christ bless you, Israel. I'm Captain Noah, so I'm be holding down the morning class with y'all. Today's title, let me get the thumbnail up. From broken men come ungodly generations. That's what we're going over today. So I'm going to jump right in with the scriptures. You know how we doing, OKC. Give me Romans chapter 15, verse 4. We're going to start it off right here, because this is how we get our minds right, how we break the cycle of being broken men. The Bible has given us all the instructions that we need to fix ourselves And even some of us in here now, we hadn't taken advantage of the fix, and we're still going over the trauma that caused us to be broken instead of taking the medicine to actually fix us. So go ahead, give me that.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
And you'll see some people, they'll take some of the bad things in the Bible and say, see, they were doing those things in the Bible, so that's why I do it. Well, that's not why that was written. It's giving you an example of bad things that we've done that we need to correct. Read.
That we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
So it's giving you the hope that you need. Like you seen your forefathers go through this. You're not the only one. You're not the only person. You can't say, woe is me and nobody understands me. That's not a true statement, because the Bible was given to us so we can see it as a reflection of where they were, what they did, how they either overcame or were punished by the acts that they were doing. So now we see that, it's like, okay, I see the mistake that they made. I'm not going to make that same mistake. I'm going to be better than the men before me to the best of my ability with the spirit that the Lord gave me. From there, let's get a precept to that. 1 Maccabees 2, start at verse 50. Because this is the ultimate fix to all of our problems, and that's remembering and keeping the laws of God. Read what you got.
1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 50.
Uh-huh.
Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers.
That's what a man in his truth is going to do. He's going to give his life. That's his time. That's his patience. That's his problems. That's his traumas. You sisters as well. You are going to give your lives for that. Everything should revolve around being an Israelite. And even saying that, I had a conversation with a brother, and he was asking me, how does he pretty much normalize the lifestyle of an Israelite? And the question itself was the answer. Normalize that in your everyday life. When you wake up in the morning, you're an Israelite. You're not a black man in America. That's just what you've been labeled as. So the same way that you grew up and was admonished in media and all of that with being a Negro in America, you got to reverse that and admonish yourself in what an Israelite is, the Israelite culture, so to say. You got to put yourself in those shoes at every given moment. Your thought process has to be an Israelite man, not a man in America, not a person in America. Read.
Verse 51.
Call
to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time.
That's how you're going to normalize what it is to be an Israelite, a person that's keeping God's commandments. Read.
So shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name.
So that's how we're going to receive that name. That's how we're going to break those generational curses that we've been stigmatized to. So from there, I want to start off with a video. Let me look over here. It's out of the way. Give me, scroll up. Give me number 47. I'm going to start there.
Which era of YNs are less destructive to their communities? Goes to prison less, graduate more, father their kids more, become husbands more, work regular jobs, and live longer lives more? Late 90s, early 2000s YNs, or 2010s up until now YNs? Which one?
So he was asking a question of what generation is pretty much better off, because we get on this generation for being YNs, but who created those YNs? Because they didn't create Crips and Bloods. They didn't create the what's the Mexican gang? MS-13s. They didn't create those gangs. Gang violence and YN culture isn't a new thing, so we can't say, oh, they're just so much bad. No. We went from bats and knives to pistols to assault rifles to switches. So technology just upgraded on how you can defend yourself or create a war within your own community. So we can't say, oh, this generation, they useless. Well, at one point in time, when we was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, our parents were saying the exact same thing about us. All we did was fight and shoot each other. So you can't say like, oh, this generation is so much worse than that generation. No. They might be a little less hands-on than we were. We had different activities that we could do and more people to pour into us, more avenues, because we didn't have technology like that. It was the boom of it in like the early 90s. So with him asking that and saying that, here's the question that we got to have. Psalms 94 verse 16. Now that all of these devices, and we're saying that this generation is the worst, they're dumb, they're less educated, their reading is lower, and I'm going to get into all of those things in some of these videos. Psalms 94, 16.
The book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 16.
Uh-huh.
Who will rise up for me against the evildoers?
So who's going to change that pattern? Who's going to step up and take responsibility for what's being broken? And then you got to ask yourself, if you're complaining about it, what are you actually doing to make a difference for the demographics that you're complaining about? All of America is saying the problem is the black community. Well, the black community didn't just create itself to self-destruct. It had outside influence. It had people pulling major strings and people out of the equation to create this evil. Read it again.
Who will rise up for me against the evildoers?
Uh-huh.
Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?
So that's the question. Who's going to stand up for this generation? We can call them YNs, YBs, whores, and all of this, but who's going to educate them and fix their traumas? So next video I want, let me hear 11. No, do 9. And then we'll do 11.
There's no question that there's a direct relationship between images and self-esteem. And it goes all the way back to Tarzan, to Superman, to Rambo, to Batman, to even painting the image of Jesus Christ as white. I mean, you can't separate racism from anything. So it's not unlikely then that you have Pope Julius commissioning Michelangelo in 1505 to paint Jesus Christ white. Images control self-esteem. Abraham Lincoln found out very early, when you have 300 slaves on a plantation and one master, it takes a lot of work. Why don't you let them go? But don't teach them who they are. Control their history. Control their images. Then you won't have to watch them. Whoever controls the mind will also control the body.
Let's talk about the...
So he said if you control the image, you control the mind. That's why I mentioned media. Media has painted, and we participate in it in these TikToks and all of our content. We participate in that same rhetoric that black people are the problem. And now it's a disdainment that you have for your own people. I don't want to go to this place because the YN's going to be there. I don't want to do this because the YN's going to be there. Well, if you were parenting your kids, then they wouldn't be behaving like that. And I'll take downtown Oklahoma as a point in case. Between the hours of 9:30 and 1 o'clock a.m., why are children still walking around the city by themselves? Who's governing that? Who gave them the permission to be out that late? And why aren't they with their parents? And this is just things that I sit and watch and think about. And then there was one point where we're teaching at camp at Bricktown, and kids get into a shootout. One kid got his pants down, and they weren't in the mix, but he got his pants hanging down, he got the shiesty mask, and the police got him hemmed up. Because you look like everybody else that's committing crimes. Give me this in Hosea, because he mentioned imagery.
The book of
Chapter 3.
Hosea, chapter 3 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image.
So what we do as a people is we reach for the most tangible thing. And our women, they want to look just like Jesus, Caesar Borgia, Christ. That's what they're trying to look like. That's why they do the blonde hair, the straight hair. They're trying to look to the closest thing of the great white hope that's been a false image and a narrative to our people. Men, we ain't really looking to look like that. We want to look like what's going to progress us the fastest way in life. And you know what that was in the 80s and the 90s? The pimps, the players, the drug dealers, the brothers with the flashy jewelry. They had the cars and the girls. So we attracted ourselves to that image until it became vibrant culture. I'll say it like that. And now it's in our rap music, it's in our media, it's in our everyday flow of life, and we started to decline. Read that again.
The book of Hosea, chapter 3 and verse 4. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince.
So, without a king, it's talking about our kings. We wouldn't have a nation or a ruler, but to bring it up to speed to the day, we don't have a leader. Anybody that we had as a leader was either assassinated, a false leader, or we saw that in the best of their abilities, they led us in a wrong way. And we scatter and disperse. We've seen that in the Chronicles and the Kings, on how we had all these different kings and they chose their own way. They chose idolatry or different things outside of keeping the commandments. Let me get 11.
Too much to say. And this happens to everyone in that society. Like I said, everyone in that society, no one is immune. Not a single person is immune. You have the general layer of cultural programming. You have the day-to-day propagandization of the news. You have the education system and the false history. And then there's the mass media and the entertainment, all coordinating together to mold you and to shape the way that you think and the way that you feel and the way that you act. And this lands on everyone.
So give me Ezekiel 18. I'm going to get it with you. Hold on. Let me get there. I was flipping to it. Because we go off of what we see. What we call leaders, elders, and things of that nature, we go off of what we see. Start at verse 14.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 18 and verse 14. Now lo, if he begat a son, that seeth all his father's sins.
And that's what the generation after generation have seen. They've seen our forefathers make mistakes and live through it like it's life, like it's culture, like that's how a man's supposed to be. And I don't know if y'all seen this, it was on Netflix. It's called Snow on the Bluff. What was his name? Curtis. Curtis seen his father chop up drugs, make crack. He repeated the same cycle with his son. So he's in the documentary with his son in his lap, cutting up crack. And he's telling the story like, yeah, I saw my pops do this and do this and do this and do that. Well, now, and that's an extreme, but it's really happening. Imagine the imagery that you've set for your kids. Do they see you getting up, going to work every single day? Or do they see you living off of a woman? Do they see you being unstable, moving house to house to house, not having the proper resources to nurture them? Read that again.
Now lo, if he beget a son that seeth all his father's sins which he hath done, and considereth and doeth not such the like, that hath not eaten upon the mountains, neither hath lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, hath not defiled his neighbor's wife,
Read.
neither hath oppressed any, hath not withholden the pledge, neither hath spoiled by violence, but hath given his bread to the hungry, and hath covered the naked with a garment.
That's the generation that we're trying to build. That's why you and I are sitting in these seats right now. That's why you're watching this right now, is because you've seen all of the evils that we've created in the past, and you want to break that cycle. That's the mentality that you have to have for this endurance, is being better day after day. Each day you should be getting better. And it's going to start with the people that you surround yourself, the imagery that you put in front of you, the things that you listen to. Because all of that is either going to corrupt you or fix you. Read.
Verse 17.
Uh-huh.
That hath taken off his hand from the poor, that hath not received usury nor increase, hath executed my judgments, hath walked in my statutes. He shall not die for the iniquity of his father.
So if you keep these commandments, you're not going to fall, and you're not going to have you are going to have your sins blotted out. You're not going to be like the other examples that we read, to where your name ain't in the book. You're going to die like the rest of the nations. So from there, let me see. Number 12. And then give me Deuteronomy 6.
Media doesn't just entertain you. It trains your desire. It trains your beauty standards, your lifestyle standards, your status, and your success standards. And what you see repeatedly, you start wanting. Here's how the media trains your desires. The media exposes you to certain messages that influence your desires, which makes you compare yourself to others, which then drives you to compete. So if you see the same body type or status over and over again, it becomes normal, and what is normal becomes desirable. And desires drives spending, and spending fuels the economy. Here's what's missing. When were you taught how to separate your authentic preferences from repeated patterns? No. Desires feel personal, but it's often patterned.
And that's where we're at right now. We've been conditioned from TV and all of that. And matter of fact, load up this one. Don't play it yet. I don't see it. Load up number 15. And I'll let you know when I'm ready for it. We've seen a pattern of bad habits. All of us, or most of us, have been conditioned to see some type of violence, whether it's your favorite movie. Well, I'll even go with the hood classics, like Boys in the Hood. Everybody knows the Ricky scene. Everybody. You know, we laugh at it. We put it in the back of our mind, but that created some trauma to see black people killing black people senselessly and stirring up those emotions, and then going outside and seeing this, going to one of your best friend's funerals, going to a person's funeral that you went to school with, seeing the decline of that friend going into that life, that creates trauma, and you start to normalize it. And then you could just swipe on your phone and see that same thing of YNs masked up, drive-bys, things of that nature. And that trauma becomes so normal that that's just life. That's how it's supposed to be between black people. So when you see black people together, it's always this defense mechanism of, I gotta watch out for that type of person. He might hurt me. This guy, he looks untrustworthy. And you rationalize with yourself that black people are dangerous. And you start living that and trying to pull yourself as far away from all types of black people just in case, because all of them are potentially dangerous. Until where you start speaking like a person like Officer Tatum. Yeah, I knew I was going to go there. That's a person who has been sensitized to hate his people, and he can't even see it. He's so blinded by the narrative that's been pushed about his own people instead of being a product to prevent it, because not all black people are YNs. Not all black people are gang members. So give me, yeah, go ahead and play that. Well, hold on, wait, let me get a verse. Proverbs 29 and verse 15.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 15. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame.
Read.
When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall.
Read.
Correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul.
Read.
Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he.
So it said a lot in that. If we're not correcting the actions of our kids, even if they see something negative or bad, we have to correct them and say, no, that's not normal. That's not how normal black people are to behave. What you're watching is not good, is not entertainment. It's programming. That's why they call it tell a vision, because it's telling you a vision that's entertaining a part of you, whether it's good or bad, and most of the things is bad. And I was watching something else. It was saying that there are no positive cartoons for kids. There's nothing that stimulates them in the way like in the 90s on how we were stimulated and educated, like the Reading Rainbows, the Sesame Streets, shows that actually taught lessons, like real life family lessons, like Fresh Prince and all of that. But I'm gonna let this video explain the vision that we used to get compared to now. Go ahead and play that.
Why, as a black person, I can't turn on the TV and find not one single show that portrays my community in a positive light? We used to have Martin, we had Living Single, we had Sister, we had all that. We had a different world where black people was at college. We don't have not a single show that portrays us in a positive light. The whole Power Book series is so good, don't get me wrong. But in all of them, we drug dealers and murderers. A little black girl can't turn on the TV and see a mama and a daddy in a household thriving. It's either us doing something that's bad, or it's reality TV which is just showing black women fight other black women over nothing, like men.
Get 1 Corinthians 15:33. And it's true. You trying to take a break from life, cut on the TV and entertain yourself, and you get Tubi. Tubi is full of all the hood movies trying to get on, portraying a demographic of black people that don't exist in this day. It's a very small percentage of black people that actually live like that. But it's on TV so much. And then when you go to the hood, it's like, this gotta be true. And the hood don't even really be like that. It don't be nobody outside, nobody playing basketball, nobody playing football, nobody just chilling out on the porch like that. But then you watch TV, and that's the perception that has been assumed to the black culture.
The hell is this?
Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners.
Going back to that imagery and seeing black people portray themselves or act a certain way, and then you take on that same thing. And even with that, y'all know the Australian rapper Iggy Azalea. Her name Iggy Azalea. She's Australian. She doesn't really have an Australian accent. She sounds like almost an American Caucasian woman. But when she raps, she assumes a Southern ghetto black girl attitude and accent. And that's because it's a rehearsed thing, because that's what's selling. The ghetto Southern black woman is a trend. That's why your Sexy Reds and what's the other little girl name? Who? Glorilla. Yeah, that deep masculine voice. It sells right now. And you see girls imitating that, like that's how they got to get on. I remember the young girls, they used to want to be like Oprah. She had her own talk show. She was independent and all of these things. She spoke very well. Women inspired to be like that. But then when the Beyoncés came, everything was to the left, literally to the left. So from there, go to Proverbs 22 and verse 24.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 24.
Read.
Make no friendship with an angry man.
Hold up. 22, 24? Is that where you at?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul.
That's the point. What we see portrayed on TV, these are angry people. And it's saying don't make friendship, don't make that a lifestyle, because you're going to learn those ways, those habits, that corrupt communication, and it's going to become you. I know a lot of people, they make jokes about Tupac. I'm looking at your face now. But they say that Tupac assumed the character of Bishop in Juice. He was this frail, nice guy that did ballet with Jada Pinkett in school. But then once he did that role, now he's a tough guy. He's a gangster. That's what corrupt communication do. I also seen this young Christian boy on social media. He said that he used to listen to one of the mumble rappers, and he noticed, like, after a few weeks, his attitude changed, his temperament changed, the way he dressed started to change in that culture. And it shocked him, it scared him, because that's not who he was. And Bishop Yawasop, he played a video. It stuck with me too. The young kid in the Julio Fulio case. He came from a 2-parent home, and he was good. They looked like they were in the upper middle class lifestyle. And he was writing a letter. Well, he wrote a letter to the judge stating how, you wonder how I ended up in this. And he had a good vernacular, good skill in writing and speech. So he's writing this letter and he's reciting it back, saying, how could I end up in this? And he say, it happens all too much. And this is the reason, is that education system, the entertainment, the media, it all plays a part. And we've been discussing for like a week or so. Me, Captain Palu, and a few other brothers been discussing how you're stereotyped. You may not act like this, but you're stereotyped to act a certain way until you do it. And a prime example of that is you see brothers going to trade schools, and then they get out of trade school and then they actually go and work that trade. Well, who's mostly at that trade? Caucasians. And it's a certain initiation that Caucasians do to you while you're on the job. They want to see if you're one of the good ones, or are you just a NIG? And they'll push certain buttons to trigger you to see if you're going to be submissive to their jokes or gestures that they do, if you're going to be a part of their community, or are you going to like shy away and stay in your own spot? Don't associate yourself with them. Don't laugh at their jokes. Don't entertain any of them. Or are you going to go off and be an irate Negro? And they'll push all 3 of those buttons just to see which ones you choose until you choose one of the others. And then that's when you get the label, oh, you're one of the good ones. I like you. I don't typically like black people, but you one of the good ones. Damn! And you'll internalize that mind frame of one of the good ones until you're going out to the bar with them, having a couple drinks, and now you're thinking, oh, all white folks are good. I work with a few. But now a Nolan Wells situation happens. Can you say that all white people are good? Or were you conditioned into their ways to feel like they're good because they initiated you to be like them? And that creates a certain self-hate for you, because now you don't like NIGs. You don't like the very black folk that you were in the hood with, that you grew up with. You disassociate yourself with them, and now you become an Officer Tatum. Was that it on Proverbs? Did you read to 25? I mean, to 25?
Yes, sir.
Read it again. Let me get my bearings.
Yes, sir. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. Be not thou one of them that strike hands, or of them that are sureties for debts.
So the Bible is trying to explain to us what evil communication is, an angry man, the things that we're putting into our souls. So from there, let me see. Let me get video. Not that one. Let me get 34.
When I was raising my kids by myself, I had to say, dang, I'm making my daughters hard and independent because I don't want nobody to ever play with them.
Did it download like that?
Now my daughter's a strong black woman. In essence, my values is the man leads the woman.
Yeah, you got the speed up. It said 2 times. If it's gonna play like that, then I'm gonna have to grab another one. Bring it down. Yeah, it's going. That ain't. Yeah, it didn't play like that for me. Go ahead, bring it down. I'll just get a different example. Bear with me for a moment. While we wait, 2 Chronicles 22. All right, go ahead, play it.
For when I was raising my kids by myself, I had to say, dang, I'm making my daughters hard and independent because I don't want nobody to ever play with them. But now I'm just repeating a cycle because now my daughter is a strong black woman. In essence, my values is the man leads, the woman is the rib or the helpmate. I don't want to raise no rah-rah loud girl. Now, granted, you need the survival skills of being able to be independent. But I was raising hard daughters and I was letting my sons just do whatever because he a boy. So I'm raising strong daughters and weak men. So I had to check, okay, Amanda, hold on, we got to get this order right.
Real shit.
Because you are raising boys to be men that you don't want to be with.
Facts.
You are raising girls to end up just like you.
And the scriptures talk about that. As the mother, so is the daughter. And a woman does not know what a man needs, or I'll say a boy needs emotionally to train him up. She don't have that discernment to instill into a son what he needs. Now, she could teach him basic things of life, how to take care of yourself, how to cook and clean, and she can tell him to be good, but discernment and experience that a boy needs, he has to see it from a man. He has to get that. And too often, our boys are being neglected. They're not given enough exposure to men. You see, grown men that can't handle being told that they're wrong. You also see that they can't be told how to make decisions and be guided into making decisions. But it goes back to listening to your forefathers of this Bible, telling you right from wrong, where to go, what not to do, and what to do. So when you hear it from another black man to another black man, and when I say black man, I'm talking about all the 12 tribes that keep the commandments, that it should be automatic for them to be capable of listening. Nobody's listening to their mama when they rah 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 rah. We just gonna tune that out and do what we want to do anyway, because you're gonna whoop us, probably punish us, and we back to doing it the next day. You'll eventually figure out that I did it, but I've become who I am, and there was nothing that you could do to stop me. Read 2 Chronicles 22, start at verse 3.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 22 and verse 3.
Uh-huh.
He also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, for his mother was his counselor to do wickedly.
I also saw a clip. I couldn't find it. This dude, he had on one of those dreadlock beanies. He was saying that his mom coached him on how to steal at a young age, him and his brother. And it was to the point of being normalized. And this is the same thing that mother was explaining with her daughters and her sons. Sons got to do whatever and be whatever, and they didn't have no real guidance because the mother didn't know how. But she was raising her daughters to be so-called better than her, tough and independent. And she noticed that she was creating a bigger problem, because now they got a mindset of they don't need a man. Daughters need men too, because nowhere in the Bible have you seen a successful woman on her own. She went from her father to a husband. And if she didn't have a husband, she was always under the guidance of the elder men. Read.
Verse 4. Wherefore he did evil in the sight of the Lord, like the house of Ahab. For they were his counselors after the death of his father to his destruction.
And that's where we're at with society. We've taught our kids that they're nothing. Even the mothers and the fathers. What's the movie? Is it Temptations or is it Five Heartbeats? Where his dad told him Five Heartbeats. What was his name? Eddie Kane. Eddie Kane became a successful figure in black culture. But the trauma that he had stuck with him so bad that he destroyed it. And his father told him, I ain't never been nothing. And he's telling this man while he's at the peak of his career. He said, I ain't never been nothing, and you ain't never gonna be nothing. And it broke him. It broke him to the fact that he wasn't nothing, just like his father. And parents do that to their children, not putting daily affirmations into them, telling them what they can be. Stop saying what you can't be and try it. Not showing them that your pain and trials and sufferings is going to pay off if you deal with it instead of running away from it. And a mother can instill that into a son like that. So from there, I want, you already got it up? Play it. You all right.
My mama taught me to steal. I'm not talking about hanging around no bad kids in the neighborhood. I'm talking about my own mama put me on to my first lick when I was about 9 years old. She told me and my brothers to go into one of her friends' houses who was out of town and take everything in there that was valuable. And that's what we did. That was just the first time. Then came the second lick. She sent me and my brothers into a guy's house that her and my aunt knew. Same instructions. Go in there and take everything that you can that's valuable. And after a while, we got a taste for it. I remember a store called Wieners. It was a shoe store that was in shopping centers. My mama would pull up around the corner in her hatchback and she'll say, I'm gonna be right here. I got the back open, it's unlocked. Me and my brothers would go into the store around back to school time, put on the shoes that we wanted, tell the worker, can you go back and get us another size? And as soon as they walk to the back, boom, we out the door. New J's, new Air Max on feet. They only chase you so far. We'd run around the corner, jump into the car, and then mama burn off, right? That's how we got our school shoes. So yeah, I was young, I was a thief. People would look at us and say, man, them some bad little kids, but they don't understand something. My mama taught us that. I'm not saying I didn't know it was wrong. When your mama, person that you trust the most, is telling you to do something, you feel backed. It took me to get older to realize something. Stealing is cowardly. That's why you're always sneaking. That's why you're always running. When I became a man, I had to get that spirit up out of me. I had to change my belief system that I was raised with. I had to start earning everything that I got, because breaking cycles sometimes mean unlearning what the people closest to you taught you. Just because something was normal in your childhood or your family doesn't mean it belongs in your future. Some of us didn't.
So from there, give me Isaiah 3. That's why women in this society, y'all are important. You can either teach that kid to be great, and it starts with the woman. When you have a child or a son or a daughter, the education comes from you, and it's imperative that you do everything in your power to be in this kid's life in the first stages of development. Because this is where broken men come. This is where broken women come. If there's no mother there to tell them that this is definitively wrong, This is definitively right. This is the success or failures when you do right and when you do wrong. Even though that bad things will still happen to you when you're being a good person, but it's part of development and growth. Isaiah 3, start at 4.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 4. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them.
This is why some of the adults are afraid to go outside, because they let their kids run wild, and now it terrifies them to even go out into the streets. The older folk feel like they're going to get robbed by the YNs. You got the young girls twerking on cars. Everybody's afraid of these babies that's running the streets, ruling it. Read.
And the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another.
See, being a YN ain't new. The Bible covers everything. This was happening in our cities. And this is what happens when the men are not there being wholly fixed and involved in their communities. Read.
And everyone by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient.
Because this child has either been taught evil or left to themselves, and it's bound in children to do evil. They're just figuring it out, and whatever suits them, that's what a child is going to do if it goes unchecked. Read.
And the base against the honorable.
And speaking of the base on the honorable, even when we go out to the streets and we teach and we talk to the younger generation, they can't ascertain what we're telling them, the direction that they're going. And even some of the young adults here, like we'll tell a brother, look, I've been where you're at, and you feel anxious to get there, but slow down. Do this and do that, and in time you'll have it. And it goes in one ear and out the other, and now they come back with their head down like, dang, you told me so. Like me, when me and my pops, he would always give me good advice out of his own experience and mistakes. I always thought that I was smarter than my pops until I actually went out there and did what he warned me was going to happen. I'm like, nah, pops, I got it. This situation is temporary, and it is this. And then I'll go back to him like, dang, pops, you was right. I shouldn't have did that. So drop this video that you got up. I want one of the things on, let me get 37, I think it is. Yeah, let me hear 37.
When a child is consistently ignored by their parents, the brain learns a painful rule. My needs don't matter. In the early years, the prefrontal cortex and amygdala are especially sensitive to feedback from caregivers. When cries, gestures, or attempts at connection go unanswered, those neural circuits adapt by shutting down expectation. The dopamine system, which normally rewards social bonding, grows quieter, and the child begins to detach. Over time, this neglect sculpts behavior. Some children turn inward, building self-reliance to the point of isolation. Others become hypervigilant, constantly scanning for approval they never received. The absence of response doesn't just leave a void. It creates a deep uncertainty about worth and belonging. In adulthood, these individuals often struggle with relationships. They may minimize their own emotions, dismiss closeness, or chase after reassurance in ways that feel desperate. On a neurological level, the old circuits still whisper the same message. Connection is unreliable. Love is conditional. The parent's silence became the template, and long after childhood has ended, the brain continues to live in its echo.
So, give me Deuteronomy 6. Start at verse 6. Using neglect as the example. And there's many variations of how we neglect our children. What we do teach them and what we don't teach them, it shapes their brain to behave the way that they behave. And once they become an adult, it's harder to break that cycle or that brain pattern that's been fixed in them. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 6.
Uh-huh.
And these words, which I command thee this day, shall be in thine heart.
So it's saying that these words, meaning the commandment, the Bible, the things that Moses taught us, they should be in our minds, because that's the thing that's going to keep us whole. That's going to propel us through all the things that we go through in life. Read.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
So these are the things that we have to instill into our kids so we don't neglect their learning process. Like, it's a gift and a curse with my son. I say he got a God complex. This kid has never known Caesar Borgia as Jesus Christ. He's never known Christmas, Thanksgiving, none of those things. He grew up knowing that he was God's chosen people. Yeah! He grew up understanding that as a black man, he has power with God. Yeah! But I call it a God complex because you can't break his mind now knowing that he's great. And then in that, he sees his father and men like his father doing the exact same thing, to where you can't tell him that he's not above all nations. You can't tell him that he's not great, that he can't do this. It's because the words that Moses wrote, it's in him. It's in his behaviors and his attitude. And once it's in him, he won't leave that mentality. Read.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house.
And when it talks about sittest, you shall talk to them when thou sittest down, you should be giving your kids the life lessons. Just like we was learning from TV, we'll watch the Cosby Show and see how Cliff and Claire handle the kids and discipline them, talk to them, show them what their actions will do, and put them back in their place. We'll see that and be like, dang, that's a good lesson. But then the surroundings that we're in our own home, it's not portraying the same thing. So you kind of trying to balance what's right and what's wrong. This is the type of conversation that you have to have with your kids. You see what Ahab did, right? You see what Nabal did, right? Now, you see how me and your mom, we're here and we're there. This is how you deal with this. Here's the scripture that tells you that this is how you deal with it and the consequences that's going to come. You sit your kids down and you instill in them what they're seeing in their atmosphere. And that also goes with, because we got to stand people up in front of the congregation and say, hey, listen, this brother and this sister, they did this, and this is the punishment. When we get back home, I can't pretend like that didn't happen. Like my kid don't have questions in their head like, dang, what's adultery? I got to sit down and tell my kids that this is the adultery that happened. This brother is being put out because he can't hold his liquor. I got to show him like, hey, listen, yeah, you see I have a drink every once in a while. Have you ever seen me speak like this? Have you ever seen me talk and deal like this? Have you ever seen me in this action? And show them this is what the scriptures is talking about with a drunk person. But you can drink, but how you see me behave drinking, that's how you got to be able to handle it. And if you can't handle it, don't deal with it. These are the lessons and the diligence that the Bible is speaking about, so your kid understands right from wrong. And now you got to play that part. Because now you got to show them like, yeah, man, you see where I'm at now. I was drinking too much, and you see I wrecked my car, and I lost my job, and I I got all of these problems. I did that because of this sin. I'm a glutton. I can't hold my liquor, and these are the consequences. You can't be like I am. Because your kids see that. And you walk into the school, Lord, Most High Christ bless. You got the strongest dap, and you the best reader in school, but back at home, your kids don't see you like that. You ain't that person back at home. And they're internalizing all of this stuff about what's real and what's fake. And if you become fake to where it becomes real, that's what they're going to become. It don't matter how many times you sit them down like, yeah, man, Pop's making this mistake, this mistake, this mistake. They either going to see you and be like what we read about the kid seeing evil and do better, or be like the proverb, like the woman and the daughter. You're going to end up just like that and creating the next generation that's damned. So from there, I want give me 30.
Guidelines until very recently said that children should say their first word by the time they're 12 months old. Now they have changed that to 15 months old. The former guidelines were that at age 2, they should have a vocabulary of about 50 words. Now they're saying by 30 months. Your pediatrician says that your child is developing normally. The CDC just changed those guidelines to dumb down normal development.
The world is against us. The secret plots and persuasions, it's against us. And we're seeing it in this next generation. Where was I at? Yeah. I was at one of the family members' house. And the conversation was the fear of the next generation. You see, autism is high. You didn't see too many people that were on the spectrum back in the early 2000s, the 90s and the 80s. You very rarely seen somebody with any mental ailment. It was maybe like 3 to 5 in the whole school. And everybody knew that, like, okay, yeah, that kid, he had some brain development problems from the womb. But now it's so many of us in this society, they so many umbrellas and layers of it. This is what we're fighting up against. And that's why it's imperative to teach our kids. Give me Joshua chapter 4. Let me get there. And start at verse 6.
The book of Joshua, chapter 4 and verse 6.
Come on.
That this day may be a sign among you, that when your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, what mean ye by these stones? Then ye shall answer them, that the waters of Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it passed over Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. And these stones shall be for a memorial unto the children of Israel forever.
Jump to 20.
Verse 20. And those 12 stones which they took out of the Jordan did Joshua pitch in Gilgal. And he spake unto the children of Israel, saying, when your children shall ask their fathers in time to come, saying, what mean these stones? Then ye shall let your children know, saying, Israel came over this Jordan on dry land.
We have to teach our kids our history because they're being dumbed down in this society. They're being taught that they're less than, that the reason of their behavior is because some brain development. Well, it's starting. The attack is starting at the womb with the foods that you eat, the things that you're ingesting, the entertainment that the kid knows the environment that it's coming into in the womb. They can hear everything that you're doing. They can feel all the pain that you're causing yourself, and it goes to them. So it's imperative that we teach our kids and pull them out of the school societies, because all they're going to do is say, oh, yeah, he's not developed. He hasn't developed right. We're going to put him in special classes and sit him over here. And when the statistics shows their grades go down, they don't know anything. You can't point the finger at the society now as you threw them into that fire. There's another video that I want about that specifically. Let me see where it's at. Let me give you a minute. It's not the colorism. Dang, I forget which one it was. It's the brain. Let me see 31. Let me see if 31 is the one about the classrooms. Yeah, go ahead.
Sad fact our generation has to face is this. Our kids are less cognitively capable than we were at their age. Since we've been standardizing and measuring cognitive development since the late 1800s, every generation has outperformed their parents. And that's exactly what we want. We want sharper kids. And the reason for this largely has been school. Each generation spends more time in school. We use school to develop our cognition. Congratulations, you see your correlation. Until Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to underperform us on basically every cognitive measure we have, from basic attention to memory to literacy to numeracy to executive functioning to even general IQ, even though they go to more school than we did. So why? What happened? What happened around 2010 that decoupled schooling from cognitive development? It can't be school. Schools basically look the same. It can't be biology. This hasn't had enough time to change. The answer appears to be the tools we are using within schools to drive that learning. Across 80 countries, as Gene was just saying, if you look at the data, once countries adopt digital technology widely in schools, performance goes down significantly.
So if we're not teaching our kids, they are going to get dumber in this society. They're not going to rise up. And once that happens, crime rises. The statistics against us starts to rise. I think it was Hosea I wanted. Let me see if I put it in my notes. Hosea 4:1. This is what's happening because we're not teaching our children and not letting them know the history behind where we come. And it becomes to the point to where they start to neglect it. We tell them like we were slaves. No, that's an excuse. We can all progress and be good citizens in America. It's your mentality. You're a victim, but it's happening systematically. So you can't say that we're being victims. It's still happening. Read that.
The book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 1. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying, and killing and stealing, and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood.
This is what happens when we're not educated, when we're not involved in our own children. Whether they come from your own womb, your own loins, our involvement with our children, our community, to build that unity together, knowledge and information included, this is what we're going to get. And over the centuries, we've seen it progress in a downward motion to where crime is the new black. And that narrative is steady being pushed and steady being pushed, but who's standing up to fix that? I know the Israelites are, the ones that actually keep the commandments. We are. Read.
Verse 3. Therefore, shall the land mourn.
So the land is mourning. It's talking about Jerusalem, but here in America, the wise saying is America is what it is because of black people. Black people are bringing down America, and that's not a true statement. Read.
And everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish.
So everybody is complaining. Get rid of the black folks. Get rid of the black folks. Do this, do that. Read.
With the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another. For thy people are as they that strive with the priest.
So give me Deuteronomy 21 and verse 18. And I want the video. Where's he at? 48. Read Deuteronomy.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 21 and verse 18.
So I saw this clip earlier, and the Bible speaks of euthanism. And this is biblically what it is. Read.
If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and mother lay hold on him and bring him out unto the elders of his city.
See, we did things in order. If there was a problem, after you admonished the kid, taught the kid, constantly repeated, do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Stop doing this. And it gets to a point to where this kid ain't listening, then the parents, they took the kid, it was like, listen, we finna take you to the leaders of the nation to see what the judgment for you should be. It's this case after this case and this case. He's been stealing. He's been lying. He's been disrespectful. Let's see the consequences of this kid. Read.
And unto the gate of this place, and they shall say unto the elders of the city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of the city shall stone him with stones that he die. So shalt thou put away evil from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear.
So within our government and our land, that's how we dealt with the YN situation. Well, guess what's happening today? Because we don't have the power to put our kids to sleep. It's not our government. They'll call you a bad parent. They'll demonize our community if we punished our kids this way. So this scripture can't be rehearsed by us. But guess where this nation is going through? And I'm a say it in the lens of black on black. Play this clip.
Done away with is if these guys start getting taken off. YN culture, the only way it's going to be done away with is if these guys start getting taken off our streets immediately. And what I mean by taking off our streets, I mean taken off as far as being completely taken off as far as like euthanized, as I've used that term before, like how they do it, stray animals, stray dogs. It need to be some kind of euthanization process. Like I said, I quote Dr. Umar when he said, some of them need to be put to sleep for good. Remember that shit?
Yeah, that nigga
for good.
Crazy.
Yeah, but I agree with that though, because like it hurts and it sucks.
Yeah.
But them being put to sleep is going to make our lives easier. It's going to make our children's lives easier. It's going to make my mama life easier. It's going to make our family life easier, because they mean our streets no good. They mean our communities no good. They just don't. They're not trying to do anything to bring us up. They're only doing things to bring us down, to make us look worse, to continue to capitulate the stereotypes. Like, they're doing nothing at all constructive for us as a group. And we've had enough degradation, enough enough exile as a group. Like, we gotta start doing things that's gonna turn. It just don't look good. It doesn't make us look good as a unit. We don't look good as a fucking unit. We just don't look good. And to have YNs terrorizing the fucking streets, shooting up parties, mass shootings, the shit in Chicago, the 19 people getting shot. Bro, that's serial killer shit.
So give me Sirach 30. If we don't start at home with disciplining our kids and teaching them, the streets are going to do it. And when I say the streets, they're going to look to the OGs. They're going to look to the bad influence or whatever influence that they can to create who they want to be. And it's a cry for help. But the streets is going to teach you. Either your own people are going to teach you and put you to sleep, or the police going to teach you, beat you, and put you to sleep. Either which way, God's will be done. Like I said, it's not going to come from our hands of a stubborn child. The Lord's words are still going to prevail. Our judges, our leaders, we don't have the power anymore to discipline our kids. So the streets will do it. So before your child gets there, you're going to have to fix your brokenness and discipline your child. Sirach 30, verse 1.
The book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod.
And I know some of y'all want a gentle parent, but our Father in heaven, he don't gentle parent. He make us feel the rod often. With slavery, police brutality, prison. He put people in place to make us feel the rod. So if we don't teach them the fear of father and mother, then the Lord going to, hey, he for the streets, she for the streets. Teach them. Read.
That he may have joy of him in the end.
That's what we're trying to accomplish. That joy in the end is we're not worried about burying a child. It's a tough thing for a parent to bury their child. Our children are supposed to be burying us. It's not supposed to be the other way around, especially to violence and senselessness. That's the joy that we're trying to reach is I raised this kid and admonished him properly in the guides of God. And now he's a good person. He has a good name. He's a good leader. That's the joy that you hear. That, hey, man, I had a conversation with your kids, man. Listen, whatever you're doing a good job. That's an accomplishment for a parent. Now, man, listen, you got to get your son. They doing this. They involved in this. They talking about this. No parent want to hear that. Read.
Verse 2. He that chastiseth his son shall have joy of him.
Uh-huh.
And shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance.
Read.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy. And before
believe it or not, our enemies hate that we chastise them in this way and they're well behaved. It costs them money for us to behave correctly. They make money when we misbehave. It destroys their economy when we're all in order, when we got our stuff together. They don't benefit anymore when we teach our own kids, when we get ourselves together. Read.
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Though his father die, yet it is as though he were not dead.
Because that son is going to be a resemblance of who his father chastised and admonished and brought him up. And be like, dang, bro, you remind me of your dad. Your dad used to do the same thing. You're a straight shooter just like your dad. You talk like him. You look like him. You bring it out just like your pops. It's like he's still here. Just like in Lion King, when Rafiki had to smack him in the head, like, look harder. And he start to see his dad in his reflection like, look, this is my kingdom. I gotta go take it back by any means necessary. I gotta go get it back. That's the fire that was in that kid when you was teaching him young, when you was giving him that diligent, that time and structure of, listen, you see that kid? That ain't how you behave. You see how that situation went? That ain't how it go. This is how they're going to be shaped. Read.
For he hath left one behind him that is like himself. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him.
Yep.
And when he died, he was not sorrowful. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies.
That's what we're trying to create here in Israel United in Christ. I'm not going to be sitting in this seat forever. The leaders, the captains, bishops, deacons, they not going to sit in this seat forever. So who are we leaving our future to? Because our forefathers had to do the exact same thing. They had to write these words so we get it today.
Come on.
We had to know what our father Adam did in his marriage and with his kids, the suffering that he had to go through of burying one of his own kids from killing his other son. He had to see all the destruction that his decisions made, from him and Eve on down the line. And we're still reading it and living it today, trying to correct it. Read.
And one that shall requite kindness to his friends. He that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds.
This is you spoiling that kid. That kid can do no evil. You always protecting him from judgment. Oh no, that ain't my son. My son, you can't talk to my son like that. You can't judge my son. Don't do this. That is a womanly spirit. You want your son to get those different perspectives of correction from the people around him. I don't see everything that my kids do. You may see a different characteristic in my child that they don't show in front of me. You should want other people to see those characteristics that they display. They're a different person around their friends. They're a different person around different genders. And they're a different person in different elements, different scenes. At school, they this. But in this building, they the perfect soldier. But when it's time to do classwork, they don't want to do none of it. But when it's time to be a young men of valor, they know all the scriptures, precepts. They winning awards for doing the commander's part. They commanding the young men. But when you get them home, it's like, this dude don't do nothing.
You're going to learn today.
But want to go everywhere and ask for everything, but I can't get you to take out the trash. But as soon as officer such and such asks you to lead this, to do this, you the first one there. Damn. You checking the other brothers. That's why the accountability got to be on all of us. To watch all of our children and the different perspectives that they present. Read on.
And his bowels will be troubled at every cry. And horse not broken becometh headstrong. And a child left to himself will become willful.
And that's the generation that we see. These kids are being left to themselves. Parents got to go to work. Parents ain't never home. And when you are home, you ain't mentally there. You're not dealing with the kids. They left to their own devices and learning the things that entertains them until they become it. I had, speaking of a horse not broken, I watched one of the most epic whoopings in my lifetime. I'm just a straight shooter. Tell the kid what they done, explain it, have them explain back to me why I whooped them to get a conscience. You know, this is like, you did this. You agree, right? Should you have done that? So you don't understand that you shouldn't have done that. Wow. Hit him with it. Do you understand now? Yeah. You got to do that because they'll act crazy on you like you didn't just do what you did and I heard and seen what you did. And then give them another wow. You understand. And I'm talking about righteous whooping on the sides, not in the mouth. Don't be hitting them in the head with spoons and throwing dishes and stuff at them. That's crazy. That causes trauma. And then they're going to take that same trauma and put it on another kid. Give me this video. It's the one in the barber shop. Hold on. It looked like it's the barber shop. That kid getting whooped. Yeah, that's it. 38. This isn't the epic whooping that I'm talking about. The epic whooping that I'm talking about, kid, listen. I've never seen a crossover whooping. So I'm watching, and parent is going in on the kid. Like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And he pump faked me. So I look this direction to see, oh, is that the answer? Wow. The kid was looking the other direction. I'm looking like, go ahead and answer, kid. Did you do this? Did you do that? And the belt went this way and came back and hit the kid. I was like, I've never seen a pump fake crossover whooping. That thing was diabolical. I'm like, man, listen. That whooping was a lesson. I'm not messing with a person that can do a crossover belt whooping. He didn't even switch hands. It was all one hand. I don't know how he did it, but it was epic. Changed my spirit. I'm never doing anything wrong. Play this video.
Man, what's wrong with you still? But you don't listen. I go call you mom and tell her to come to the shop. Get the fuck out.
I remember like it was yesterday, boy. That rod that daddy had them on was called the Ring Around the Rosy. And my father never got tired. Lord Jesus, I bet you one thing, whatever they did, it won't happen again. And what hurt more than all of it is get your ass out, call your mama. Lord, I don't want to go with her. Give me 2 more lashes. Let me stay with you, daddy.
Read that again, verse 8.
The book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 8. Come on. A horse not broken becometh headstrong.
That's why we have to do it. It's not, I know we laughing, but it's not joy to have to. I have to give you that fire to your skin to make you understand what you're doing is going to cause you more harm than the fire that I got to give you. I'm trying to save you from the fire of the police, the hands of the other nations. Come on. Their judicial system, how they decide to judge you. And ultimately, I got to save you from the fire that the Lord is going to bring to you. In this video, he's talking about stealing. Both of them kids got whooped for stealing. That deserves a whooping. And he put that fire to their behind to teach them a lesson because you have to break that habit. You don't want them to become one of the Honda boys because stealing is going to lead to killing. Killing and stealing, killing, and all of that is lying. And what we read in Hosea 4:1. That's what the land is going to become if these whoopings don't happen. That's part of nurturing. Then send you to your mama so she can love on you. And you get some more understanding of why you're in the situation that you're in. Read.
Verse 9.
Verse 8.
Verse 8. And horse not broken becometh headstrong.
Because it's going to become habit. If it becomes unchecked, it's going to become habit. And that habit becomes lifestyle. That lifestyle, it pollutes the whole land and it becomes culture. And that grown man is going to have to make a decision, just like old boy in the other video where his mom taught him to steal. He going to have to make up in his mind, am I going to continue to live like this, get better at being like this, or am I going to change? Read.
And a child left to himself will become willful.
Uh-huh.
Conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid.
Uh-huh.
Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness.
If you play with these kids, meaning you wink at they ignorance, you don't correct their mistakes, he gonna cause you problems. Now the police knocking at your door, telling you going to jail for not disciplining your kids, for not dealing with them. Or they just take the kids away from you, send them into foster care and all of these things because you're not dealing with them properly. Read on.
Laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. Give him no liberty in his youth.
When it says give him no liberty, my son ain't finna be outside all by themselves at 8 p.m. downtown. Not finna be at the mall at 8. And if I'm not with him, he ain't going to the mall. If there's no proper adult supervision, not going to go hang out with the mall with just friends. You're not going out with one of their older friends just got their license and they want to go hang out. You're not going with them. I know what I was doing when I was when my aunt got her license, it was on. I'll say it like that. I'm going to granny house and we chilling doing the most. And come back home like I was just a regular kid. Like, listen, I was at granny house the whole time. Ain't nobody doing nothing. Read.
Give him no liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies.
Don't let those little things slide. When you see a behavior in your kid that's like, I don't like it, it's time to have a conversation about it. I'd rather have the conversation face to face, mouth to mouth, about what I see in you before I have to bring that belt out. Before I got to take the hinges off the door, before I got to take all the electronics, before I got to pull you from all the things, the so-called things that you say that you're doing in IUIC as a young men of valor, as a YDOS, before I got to show everybody that you ain't moving right, we're going to have this conversation. I'm going to give you the chance and opportunity. This is where the gentle parenting comes in. Give you the opportunity and see what choice you make on behaving. Or are you going to take advantage of that liberty? Verse 12.
Verse 12. Bow down his neck while he is young. And beat him on the sides while he is a child. Lest he wax stubborn.
That wax stubborn goes back to Deuteronomy, to where now he has to be brought to the gates and be euthanized. The gates now, they not playing with these kids. And they're getting to the point to where, no, 16, 17 years old, 11, 12, there's a better way to deal with them. We don't have to put them to sleep. We don't have to euthanize them. Sweat equity. We can work them, take their liberty away from them, and work them. Had we done that in the beginning, was take their liberty from them instead of allowing them to run wild, and get the sweat equity at home, do them dishes, cut the grass, take out the yard. Cut the yard, take out the trash. Read this book. Practice doing this. Watch this YouTube because I want you to get experience in this. And put them to action. The government wouldn't step in and get the sweat equity. You as a parent supposed to be getting that sweat equity. You supposed to teach them how to be adults, because once they're out of your house, they gotta they gotta do it anyway. At least it can benefit them and their nation.
Come on.
Let me get 35. Are y'all deleting them as we watching them? Okay.
The brain of a child is astonishingly plastic. In the first years of life, billions of neurons reach out, pruning and strengthening connections based on experience. A soothing voice, consistent care, and safe touch teach the brain that the world is predictable and secure. Neglect, chaos, or abuse, on the other hand, wire the opposite story, one of danger, unpredictability, and mistrust. Take the amygdala, the brain's fear center. In children raised with chronic criticism or emotional neglect, the amygdala often becomes hyperactive. They learn to scan constantly for threat, the frown on a parent's face, the silence that precedes anger. This same vigilance can carry into adulthood as anxiety, perfectionism, or low self-confidence. The brain expects failure or rejection even when none is present. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for regulating emotions and planning responses, develops in partnership with caregivers. When parents help children calm down, the brain learns how to self-soothe. But if a child is left alone with overwhelming emotions, the prefrontal cortex struggles to grow those stabilizing pathways. As adults, this can show up as difficulty controlling impulses or as shame spirals that feel impossible to escape. Even the default mode network, which generates the inner voice, is shaped early. Supportive environments foster a voice of encouragement. Critical or neglectful ones plant a voice of doubt. That inner critic is not abstract. It is neurons rehearsing words once spoken by others, looping them until they feel like your own. So when someone lacks self-confidence, it is not weakness or character flaw. It is the echo of early neural patterns, the brain replaying lessons it was taught about safety, worth, and belonging. The good news is that the brain remains plastic across life. Therapy, relationships, and new experiences can rewrite those pathways. The story written in childhood is powerful, but it is not the final draft.
So this next video, it shows the brain waves connecting. Number 8. It's a little bit what she was talking about, and I'm gonna explain.
The moment you learn something new, your brain literally starts rewiring itself. What you're seeing here are neurons under a microscope. Each one has branching arms called dendrites that receive signals, a cell body that processes information, and an axon that sends electrical messages to other neurons. When you practice a skill, these neurons begin firing together repeatedly, forming stronger connections called synapses. Over time, those connections get reinforced through a process called neuroplasticity. Pathways you use often become stronger and faster, while unused ones weaken. That's why practice makes things feel easier. Your brain is physically reshaping its wiring based on what you repeat. In other words, every time you learn something new, your brain is literally building new circuits.
So give me Proverbs 13 and verse 1.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse 1. A wise son heareth his father's instruction.
So a wise son is going to hear his father's instruction. And what that does in the brain, it gives that notion of how to take instructions, getting used to taking instructions from a man to where it's normalized. So when you go out to society, that mutual respect that you give your father, you're going to see in other men that are like your father. Like the ecosystem and the community that we're building here in Israel United in Christ, my son can see other men that look like me, behave like me, so therefore he's going to be more ready to take instruction from men like that. And the same goes for the sisters. But they have to be put in that environment to receive instructions. Some of us, like it was talking about in Sirach, take too much of your kids to where you don't push them out there to learn new experiences. Oh, they not ready. They not ready. No. That little girl needs to be put in a committee into the body in her youth so she can be told by other women outside of her mama that this is how you move. That ain't how it move. Because 8 times out of 10, we don't listen until a second or third person tell us the exact same thing. And then that person comes back like, hey, I just learned something new. Such and such told me this and this and that. And you looking at them like, I told you that. But that's good because the repetition of them hearing it from like-minded people doing the exact same thing or trying to accomplish the exact same goal is good. Read.
A wise son heareth his father's instruction.
So when I hear scriptures like that, I gotta pause and say, okay, am I actually giving my kids instruction? Am I actually, and as a leader, are we giving instructions? Or are we just saying, here, I'll do it myself? And then complain like everybody lazy. These brothers ain't doing nothing. These sisters, the daughters they lazy. Well, did you give them instruction to not be lazy? Did you tell them exactly what instruction to do so it becomes habit? Read.
But a scorner heareth not rebuke.
And that's why some of these kids, they keep repeating the same habit and you keep having the same problem. It's because there's no instruction. You just fussing at them, yelling at them, creating traumas, and they shut down. And every time they hear fussing, they shut down and they regress. Or they completely stop. Their confidence is not being built because they haven't been put to the test to fail or succeed. All they get is, you ain't doing this. You ain't doing this. I asked you to do this. You haven't instructed them. Yeah, you said, hey, I need you to clean the kitchen. That's a woman's favorite line. And in the black community, what does it mean to clean the kitchen? That's wash the dishes, that's clean the stove, the microwave, wipe the counter, sweep the floor. That is everything that encompassed the kitchen that is or may have been dirty. You got to clean it and shut it down. And then the absolute thing that says that you're done is you put the towel in the middle of the sink where it's split and cut on the light on the microwave. That's what it means when the kitchen is clean to a black family. But have you instructed the kid to do that? You just say it's innate in black culture, clean the kitchen. They wash the dishes and they go back to the game. And now you fussing, you mad, the trash is still overfilling. Did you instill in them the instructions of cleaning the kitchen? And did you have the patience to let them make mistakes and show them their mistakes on what they're doing and allow them to correct it? It's the same thing with the scriptures. When you first come in as a brother, you still going to be attached to the life that you're coming out of, transitioning into this life. Somebody has to instruct you. Matter of fact, get it in Acts 8. While we going on, we coming back to Proverbs. Hold it.
The book of Acts, chapter 8 and verse 28. Was returning and sitting in his chariot reading Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, go near and join thyself to his chariot. And Philip ran thither to him. And he heard him read the prophet Isaiah and said, understandest thou what thou readest?
Because we'll study, we'll get certain instructions, but is there a follow-up to those instructions? Because sometimes we give an instruction and do we follow up and say, did you understand what I'm telling you to do? Or do you just like, come on, boy, I said do it. That kid ain't, now he's intimidated, afraid to do it. Are we giving the proper instructions and seeing if the person is actually ascertaining the instructions that they're given. Or are they just repeating what they're seeing, trying to make it? Because, you know, black people will buy something that has to be put together, and we'll dump all the pieces out. We'll probably separate it, and we'll look at the box and put the pieces together like we see it on the box instead of reading the instructions. Well, that's what most of us, I won't say most of us, that's what we do with the scriptures. We'll read, we'll study, but are we really challenging ourselves on what's being studied? Are we asking the questions? Are we going back to say, hey, I'm reading this, but I don't understand any of that? And as leaders, are we giving the instructions to the people? Read.
Verse 31. And he said, how can I except some man should guide me?
We all have to be guided in the instruction that we're getting. Can't just tell a person to go do something. We're all instructed until it becomes habit. Was that it on that?
And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him.
Go back to Proverbs. Start at 1.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 13, and verse 1. A wise son heareth his father's instruction, but a scorner heareth not rebuke. A man shall eat good by the fruit of his mouth, but the soul of the transgressors shall eat violence.
Read.
He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life.
Read.
But he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction.
Read.
The soul of the sluggard desireth, and hath nothing. But the soul of the diligent shall be made fat.
This is the society that we've created. A bunch of sluggard men. They haven't been instructed on what hard work is. And even yourself, how many books can you say that you've read and completed in your lifetime as an adult? And then to take it a step further, how many books have you read outside of the Bible and completed as an adult? Now, put that on the kid. Are you challenging them to create a habit of starting something and finishing it? Because what's going to happen is verse 12.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse 12. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life.
So dealing with the hope deferred. Kids talk, I want to be this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to be this. And that hope starts to get deferred once they don't get the resources, the affirmation. Things change and happen, and they're not taught how to deal with it. And they just talking and talking and talking and talking and end up in a situation. And their hope gets deferred. But once you give them that instruction and they start to accomplish it, that's when that tree of life springs up in them, and they get that complex of, dang, I can do anything. I actually can do anything. I said I was going to do it, and I'm doing it. And they start to rise up from that mentality. You start to see a change and a break in their spirit because they've been properly instructed. Jump down to verse 20.
Verse 20.
19.
The desire accomplished is sweet to the soul.
It makes you happy when you accomplish what you set out, what you said you were going to do. When you actually got instruction, laid down that foundation for those instructions, built on it, and you feel that success. Read.
But it is abomination to fools to depart from evil. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise.
Just in that same scenario, sometimes these kids, well, with the situation that we're talking about with the YN and the YB situation, they think because they on OnlyFans and that they're making money off of content on social media that that's success. That's not real success. That's not something to glory in, but their mind triggers like, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And they get stuck in that.
Bruh.
Read it again.
Verse 19. The desire accomplished is sweet to the soul.
It pumps you up. It makes you feel good because you got success. Read.
But it is abomination to fools to depart from evil.
It's going to be hard to break somebody from evil success. It seems good to them now, and it's bringing them profit. No matter how bad they know it is, but it's bringing them good treasures. That's why you have the rappers and the entertainers still selling digital crack to the community, even though they don't want that to their children. They're still selling the prostitute lifestyle to their communities, but not their own kids. Read.
He that walketh with wise men shall be wise.
So if you broaden that circle to wise men, meaning men that keeps the commandments, then you'll have righteous success. Speaking of that, jump to Proverbs 10:22. I like this verse. This is one of my favorite verses now.
The book of Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 22.
Come on.
The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it.
When the Lord bless you, there's not going to be any sorrow with it. You're going to get gains, and I'll use it in the way of lifting weights. When you exercise or you lift weight, the muscles are being broken down. It's an acid that releases in your body and it breaks down those muscles. But when it regroups, it builds more muscle and it makes you look stronger. And when you look stronger, you feel stronger and you sit up a little bit more. Shout out to the greensmen and the brothers that got necks now.
Come on.
You know, them brothers, they fat and they neck sit like this. And then they start to slim down and now you can see that they got a neck. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You start to get praised like, hey, listen, bro, what are you doing? Something about you change. That's what being around wise men do. And even the men that were walking with Christ. Everybody knew who was walking with Christ. You sound like them. You talk like them. You got a spirit about you that looks like Christ. It bigs you up. It makes you feel and be somebody around wise men. Read. Back to 13.
The book of Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 20.
He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed.
Read.
Evil pursueth sinners.
Evil will pursue sinners. That's the opposite. The devil will give you the attributes that comes with devils. A murderer has murderer problems. A homosexual has homosexual problems. But a righteous man, he has the natural push and pull to life, to where there's going to be ups and downs, trials and tribulations. But once you face those tribulations and surround yourself with wise men, you'll know how to navigate those situations. Being poor, being jobless, these things happen. But then you understand how to manage your money. The mistakes that you made to either lose that job or you propelled through to get a different education or a different job field to put yourself in a position. And I'm just using those examples because it's everyday life. But those are blessings that add to you. Versus the kid that say, okay, I got fired. I'm finna go be a booster. I'm finna go be a scammer. Well, you're going to have scamming issues. It ain't going to add to you. You're going to have experience at being a thief, but How's that going to make you better? How's that going to make the next person better and not worse? Read on.
Evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid.
So to a righteous man, good will be repaid. Just like Tobit. Tobit went through some hard things. Lost his sight. Got robbed. Lost his job. But his community, because of the name that he had, looked out for him. And he was repaid righteousness for the righteousness that he was doing. So you got to look at the life that we live in. If you're a diligent brother or sister in this congregation and you're doing the works, those things will be mentioned when it's time for you to go through your trial. Hey, such and such is going through this and this and this. We want to do something about it. What can we do? Versus the brother or sister like, yeah, they barely show up. They don't do anything. They ain't no communities. I don't even know who you talking about right now. You think a community is more inclined to help that person versus this person? No. From there, let me get... All right, I got a little bit more time. Bear with me. Skipping through my notes. Give me 2 Corinthians 6. And on the videos, 25. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you tell me why you're angry? Not the fact that they told you not to do something. What could be deeper that make that order from the teacher make you lose it, where you feel that you can hit someone? And this boy is just like you, full of potential, but because they can't control, look at me, their emotions or their anger, you end up going to juvenile. I see it in your face. I see this innocent boy, but underneath it's a story that's not being told. This is your future. This is your family. This is your school. Stand up. I want you to hold it over here just like that. You got it? That's anger you're holding. This is your graduation. This is your future. What's the only way you can release the anger without destroying everything?
Put it down nicely.
Go ahead, let's see. Good. That's how you got to learn how to release anger. Look at me, I'm serious. The longer you hold it, the more it's going to hurt you. We're going to push you harder so that we can get to that anger and you can heal.
And that's what we're trying to do. Push these kids and give them tools of understanding who and what they are and how to deal with the situation at hand peacefully.
Come on.
There is a certain level of anger that we have to have in this fight, but we have to use it properly or it'll destroy us and other people. Give me this next one, 26. And I want to use this example because when we talk to our people in the community, when we're doing flyer missions and stuff like that, the main thing some of the parents say about their kids is they're too young to understand. They're too young to be in this type of activism, so to say. They're too young to learn this information. But that same energy ain't out there for sports and all the other things that we do to entertain ourselves. They weren't too young to get a PlayStation and play Grand Theft Auto. They're not too young for Roblox and what's the other one that they be playing? Minecraft. They weren't too young to do all of those things, but they're too young to read and understand the Bible from men that preach it.
You're gonna learn today.
But you have examples like this to where they weren't too young for this. Play that.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter
take this down, and I want the next one with the boxing. 22, I think it is. Yep.
I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gone, I've been far away. I'm illuminated now, I make a move, start the waves. I've been breathing around fire for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they wanna go find. Artificially intelligent way. I'm your future, past and present. I'm a fine line. Yeah, I'm a listening of this illusion. I am not really here, I'm an intrusion. I don't swim or sink, I just flow. I don't need gravity, I just need roll. When I move, it's in a quick rumble. I will never ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls that Jericho crumble. When I
So our kids ain't too young to learn those things. And you see they were babies, toddlers being trained to play sports,
The hell is
be
this?
entertainers. And you see everything that the dad did, the child did. Whatever the dad told the kid to do, they did it and got better and better and better at it till it became natural habit for them to do what they were doing. It's grown men that can't reciprocate that. They get washed up, as I've been told. But that's the same example that we have to be biblically, spiritually as men. And sisters got to understand the reflection of children has to be cast from the man. Because what they see us do, they do it. Right now, there's a kid waiting for class to be over so they can do the chant in the end. They wait for the beginning of class so they can do the what do you call them? The commands. Yeah! And that. They're excited to see us march. We have to be what these scriptures are and live it. Get Sirach 3. And start at verse 1.
The book of Sirach, chapter 3 and verse 1.
Come on.
Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter, that ye may be safe. For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and hath confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons. Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins.
And that's saying a lot. It's telling us the order of the household. Because the son, about 9, 10 years old, he starts to feel himself. And whoopings from mom, getting fussed at from mom, it starts to wear off. But that's when the dad step in. It's like, hey, listen, you don't talk to your mama like that. You don't deal with my wife like that. And it's teaching him the commandments. How you're displaying yourself when I'm gone and out of town. You don't treat your mother like that. You got to be who I am when I'm not in the house. How can she trust you to take care of her when you're dealing with her wrongfully, when you're not honoring her? Read the verse again.
Verse 3. Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins. And he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure.
Start again.
Verse 3.
No.
Verse 2?
Yeah.
Verse 2. For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and hath confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons.
That's what I'm getting at. Confirming that. Like, son, no matter how old you are, you're never going to be older than your mama. Though that you will be a ruler in Israel, you'll never get to the age or position to disrespect your mom, to treat her less than you. She's always going to be the authority over you. And we constantly have to instill that into our sons, because our sons will overtake our women and they'll get tired. Like, that's just what he is. They'll make too much of their sons. They'll let them do whatever they want to do because they can't control them. Read.
Verse 3. Whoso honoreth his father maketh atonement for his sins. And he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure.
Because the Lord sees that. He sees how you treat your parents, how you treat the authority over you. And that ain't just, that authority ain't just your own mother and father. It's your elders. It's the respect going back to our forefathers in the scriptures, because that's who we're listening to ultimately. What Moses wrote, we're showing our respect to his sacrifices. We're showing the respect of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of what they instilled in us, that we rely and respect them. We're taking the words of King Solomon and King David and saying, yes, sir, I'm going to do what you told me to do. And that ultimately goes to the ears and the eyes of the Lord, that we are going to listen to the Father that created us by listening to our parents. Read.
Verse 5. Whoso honoreth his father shall have joy of his own children.
Because you want that same respect, reverence from your own children. How can you get that respect out of your own kids when they see how you deal with your parents, how you talk to them, how you do or don't deal with them? Read.
And when he maketh his prayer, he shall be heard. He that honoreth his father shall have a long life.
Read.
And he that is obedient unto the Lord shall be a comfort to his mother. He that feareth the Lord will honor his father, and will do service unto his parents as to his masters. Honor thy father and mother.
Hold on. Read that part again. You reading a little bit too fast.
Yes, sir. Verse 7.
Yeah, read that verse again.
Yes, sir. He that feareth the Lord will honor his father, and will do service unto his parents.
He will do service unto his parents. Meaning that they're going to obey. Yes, sir, I will do that. I'm on it. And that's teaching him how to govern his own life, because that master's part is going into, you're going to be a slave. At some point, you're going to have to employ yourself. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have to work for a living. You're going to be at somebody's service, providing services, whatnot. You're going to have to deal with clients and customers. You're always going to have somebody ruling over you. So if you can do it with your parents, as much as it annoys you, bothers you, it's painstaking, the long suffering of being a kid, trying to grow up, you are going to know how to be a servant, because that's what it is, being a child. You're a servant to your parents, and they're teaching you how to be a servant in life, because you're going to be responsible for being a servant to God. It's all training to serve God. So if you can serve your parents at a child's level, then you can serve men at an adult level. And if you can serve God as an adult, then you can deal with the Most High and his chastening that comes with the consequences of your actions, whether they're good or bad. Read.
As to his masters. Verse 8. Honor thy father and mother, both in word and deed.
That is in word and deed. You can't be a respectful kid. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. but then don't do what they say. That throws out the politeness. You can be the best at word, but it's the deeds that's mattering. How are you going to listen to somebody when I'm telling you, when you see the trash can full and dirty, you got to take the trash out and clean the mess on the trash can. When it's time for the trash truck to come, you got to put it out that day or the night before, and you have to consistently do this. You got to remember that this is your job, your duty to do. If you can't listen to those instructions and those words and do that deed, how are you going to be an acceptable citizen? How are you going to be an acceptable servant to God? Read on.
That a blessing may come upon thee from them. For the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of the children.
Just like we seen the example of the video of the 2 kids training from child up. We got to be the same thing in our words and our deeds to our children. Giving them the words, showing them how to do it, and then putting them to the test to do it. Navigating them through the scriptures just the same as we're doing it. They should be the mirror of what we are righteously, because our mirror is our Father. Read.
But the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations.
Read.
Glory not in the dishonor of thy father.
Don't do that. Even if your parent ain't, in your eyes, ain't SH, you shouldn't utter those words. You should keep it within yourself and deal with the parents that you got. Don't repeat their same steps, because that same thing that you put in your mind is going to stay with you, and you're going to rehearse it, and you're going to act out how you feel about your parents, and that acting out is going to spread to disrespect other elders. And now this kid is headstrong and can't be told what to do right because they don't have respect for the adults that they've come up with. Read.
For thy father's dishonor is no glory unto thee. For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father. And a mother is in dishonor is a reproach to the children.
Read.
My son, help thy father in his age.
And is going to be repaid back to you as a parent. All the things that you established in a kid is going to come back to you. This is where you get that joy, because now your son is able to take on the task that you can't do anymore. He's able to alleviate some of the stress that you have. The older he gets, the more tasks you put on him, because he's going to have to do it themselves. Same thing with the daughters. I hear mothers oftentimes complaining about cooking and cleaning. Well, you should have been training up that daughter to take that place, to cook at least one meal out of the day, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and be of service in the household. Teaching them how to apply daily life skills beyond just cleaning themselves and doing schoolwork. They got to learn how to be the adult that you are, so they can repay it back to you. Who's taking care of you while you sick, while you down? Oh, it's got to be you, because you never taught your kid how to take care of themselves or you. And it goes into your leadership in this body on how you treat other brothers. Let me see where I'm at. What verse you at?
The last half of verse 12, sir.
Go ahead.
And grieve him not as long as he liveth. Verse 13. And if his understanding fail, Have patience with him.
And that's the key thing. I want to get into repetition. Let me see. The dude, number 7.
I shouldn't have to repeat myself. Help me understand something. Do you know how learning works? How do you think the brain acquires new information? Newsflash. Learning requires repetition. That's literally how this thing works. Think about somebody like Steph Curry. Do you know how many shots he's taken in practice? Millions. Do you know why? Because repetition builds skill. Steph has shot exponentially more basketballs in practice than he's ever shot in a game. Because that's how learning works. You practice, you repeat, you make mistakes, you repeat again, and eventually skill becomes automatic. Parents rely way too much on their voice anyway. We think because we said something, it should automatically happen. But saying something is not the same as teaching something. Because teaching requires repetition, structure, practice, accountability, consistency, not just volume. Louder doesn't mean learned. I gave you that one for free. Let's talk about the brain for a second. When you hear new information, it doesn't automatically become long-term memory. It has to move through multiple stages of learning. It gets exposed, it gets repeated, gets practiced, it gets reinforced. And eventually, your brain starts treating it like something important. And that takes time. That's why medical students, nursing students, dental students, teachers, engineers, we all study the same thing over and over and over again. Because repetition is not failure. Repetition is how we learn. So maybe the question isn't, why do I have to repeat myself? Maybe the better question is, what structures have I put in place to support learning? Is it written down? Is there a routine? Is there consistency? Is there accountability? Is there practice? Am I depending entirely on my voice? I got some quiet time questions for you. Am I teaching my child or just telling my child? What structures exist in my home to support learning? Do I expect mastery after one conversation? What skills am I currently teaching through repetition? Have I confused repetition with defiance? Parents, learning takes repetition. Trust me, I know. That's true for basketball. That's true for school. That's true for life. And believe it or not, that's true for your child too. Send this to another parent. As always, I love you. Praying for you. See you next time.
Patience comes with that. Give me Romans 5, I think it is 5 and 3. I want to start. Just popped in my mind.
The book of Romans, chapter 5 and verse 3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also.
Tribulations ain't just you can't pay your bills. It's struggling in your faith. It's struggling to make righteous decisions. It's struggling to do well, I'll just leave it at in your faith. You got to be patient with yourself and with others until they can get it right. Start from the beginning and read it again.
And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience.
So patience is the first thing when you start something new. You never know everything about something new. And you got to have the patience just considering yourself and dealing with an inexperienced child. It has to be repeated. Too often you hear parents say, I shouldn't have to repeat myself. I told you this, that. Okay, you did. Now let's look at the Bible. How many times did God tell the Israelites, keep the commandments or I'll judge you? Keep the commandments or these curses are going to come. Stop participating in idolatry. Don't do this or I'm going to send you into slavery. How many times have we heard, keep the commandments and live? If you love me, you will keep the commandments. Righteousness is the keeping of the commandments. Walk this way in keeping the commandments. How many times have we as adults heard that and still chose not to do it? So imagine the patience that God has to have with us until we can get it right. It's the same thing in your kids and their habits. It's not going to come natural. It's not going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Patience doesn't have a time limit. And this is on the side of gentle parenting, but that gentle parenting is going to come with some whoopings, some strong language maybe, until we get it right. Read.
And patience experience.
Because now that we have the patience in giving the instructions, reiterating those instructions. I notice with my kids and their learning, I'm about to close it up, that I have to give them 2 to 3 examples to figure out which one works best for them. And out of the 3 examples that I give them, they might cling to 2 or 1 of them, and that becomes the process of how they learn. But I always have to give them those 3, and I understand that in my children is because that's how I learn. You can't just tell me like this, and I get it and go perform it. That ain't how I learn. You're going to have to walk me through it 2-3 times, and I'm going to have to see how it's best for me to put my hands on it and do it myself until it becomes second nature. Start from the top of this again?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope.
Read.
And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given unto us.
The Holy Ghost is these words, these instructions. It's pushing us to be better. That is that Proverbs 10:22. The blessing of the Lord, it adds to you, and it don't make you ashamed. It don't take anything away to you. It adds to you. It gives you those experiences, those affirmations that you're looking for, even while you're going through hard things. Last scripture, Romans 12. And start at verse 1.
The book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 1.
I might be lying. It might be another one after this. It just popped in my head. Go ahead.
Come on. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
That's what we're all learning, is our reasonable service and how to be servants. Read.
And be not conformed to this world.
So all the things that we learned in the world about what a man is, you don't know. You don't have a clue. I don't care if you're 50, 80 years old. Everything that you learned in the world and still attached to you, is it knowledge? Read.
But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Once you renew your minds in the confidence and the admonishments of the scriptures, then that's when you become a man. When you have that experience and you're teaching that experience to others, now you start to see and get it. Read.
That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Now we start to teach the nation, our children, what it is to be broken and to fix that. Read.
Verse 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me.
That was it. Give me chapter 13. And I'm going to close out on 13. I'm not going to lie this time. I'm going to close out on 13. Verse 1.
The book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 1.
This is the point of it all.
Let every soul be subject.
Hold on. You anxious. Hold on. Let me explain it. Let me pre-explain it first before you go in. We're going to close that. I got you. But this is the point of it all. We're all going to be subject to somebody. It had better be yourself as a parent, because if they're not subject to us and learning from us the correct ways to deal, somebody else is going to teach them. And it's a fearful thing to end up in the hands of the Lord. He going to choose who teaches your kids if you're not teaching him through these scriptures. Read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers.
That higher power is God. Read.
For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God.
So the men, the fathers, the mothers that set in place are set in place by God. Now, outside of the household in this organization, from the bishops down to the deacons, captains, officers, and soldiers and brothers, all that is set in place by God. It's all structure and order so you understand the levels of power. Read.
Verse 2.
Uh-huh.
Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God.
So if you resist those instructions, you're resisting God. Read.
And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnations.
Read.
For rulers are not a terror to good works.
You're not going to get a whooping if you're doing right. You're not going to be jailed or harassed wrongfully by the police if you're doing right. Read.
But to the evil, wilt thou then not be afraid of the power?
Uh-huh.
Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same.
Read.
For he is the minister of God to thee for good.
It is a tool of correction that the Lord has set up with their judicial system, their government. That's the tool that the Lord is using to put us in place when we're not learning it from him. Read.
But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid.
So if you out here not being the parent that you're supposed to be, he's going to be given over to these ministers, and they going to teach your kids how to be. Read.
For he beareth not the sword in vain.
And that's why we see our young kids being either euthanized or being used as sweat equity. So with that, I'm going to end it on that. Lord's will, y'all grab something from this. Happy Sabbath, Israel. Most High in Christ bless.